It's now 9:39. We'll bring our meeting to order. And it's our tradition to give thanks to the Creator with the Ohono Gariwat Tegong. Gunjokwa Sedawon Siyos, Go Nigariwesa, Ne Egadadi Ohodon Gariwat Tegong. Unga de no hode, Aguego, Unska, Edeniwe Noni, Neongwa Nigora. Dano, de Yatiniwe Rados, Ne Ogwe Sonha Suk Aguego, Skuna, Agonhage. Aguego, Unska, Adeniwe Noni, Ne Ongwa Nigora, Dano, de Yatiniwe Rado, Ne Yedetni Stunha, Geo Anjade, de Si Seego Jaka Gohwa Hadjes, Ago Satstonsera, Na Eoni Yohage, Aguego, Unska, Adeniwe Noni, Ne Ongwa Nigora, Dano, de Yatiniwe Rados, Ne Aguego, Yokion was a Geo Anjade. Aguego, Unska, Adeniwe Nuni, Neongwa Nigora, Dano, de Teniwe Rados, Ne Aguego, Yokion was a G Garonhiade. Dano, Ono, Gadi, Aguego, de Siwe no we Rado, Ne Sungwayat Dizo, Nene Gasatstonsera, no So Oyera, Eto, Neo, Dunhak, Neongwa Nigora. And it translates, my people, listen for a short time. The business has now come to pass. Everyone, we will bring our minds together as one and send our greetings to the people so that peace will continue for all. Everyone, we will bring our minds together as one and send our greetings to our mother, the earth, as she still goes along, giving of her own strength to enable us to live good lives. Everyone, we will bring our minds together as one and send our greetings to all things that support us on the earth. Everyone, we will bring our minds together as one and send our greetings to all things that support us in the sky and in the heavens. And now we send our thanksgiving and greetings to Sungwayat Dizo, the Creator, the great strength of the natural world. Let this always continue in our minds. And we also observe the Christian prayer as well. Songwat Niha, Negaronghiade, Wagosanada Gondi, Sayanetsra Andawat, Chinunsere et Yawane, Nehohunjagi, Chonanito Negaronghiage, Dagio, Nego Nisarade, Nyatat Usarage, Ungonadaran Knione, Dondagariosto, Ne Junkwari Wanero, Jita the Gary Wistonis, Ne Rowdy Wanner Axarum, Ne Oni Dosa de Gosari, Ne Ginonwe, Dondagwet Nyote, Dokdunda Guayadagon, Dano, G Nonwe Negayo Don Sagraxo, Ego Ise Sawam, Negaya Netra, Ne Oni Negasat Stonsera, Ne Owizonsera, Jenyahoe, Awa. In English, it's Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. So I'd like to welcome everybody who's joining us online today. We have, in the council chambers, we have Councillor Chris Miracle. Councillor Ted Miracle will be arriving a bit later. He has another commitment this morning. I'm Chief Don Miracle. We have Councillor Stacia Loft in the chambers. Online, we have David Soulier, the Chief Administrative Officer, and we have Councillor Josh Hill online, and Shelley Bowden, the Secretary to the Council, is here as well. And if there's others joining us online, welcome to our council meeting today on November the 1st, 2023. The council has before you an agenda. The first item will be to review and adopt the agenda. We have the minutes of October the 19th, 2023. There'll be a time for business to ask any questions about business arising from the minutes. The chief and council's upcoming meetings outside the territory will be identified. There's a letter concerning geographic names about Spitfire Island and the Bay of Quinte. Queen's University Indigenous Oversight Council, I've been asked to become a member of that. The roads truck purchase needs council authorization. There's some new positions in employment and training, 2 positions. The Ontario Transfer Payment Agreement for Ontario Works needs to be approved. There's an ISC Amendment 44 that needs to be approved. There's some legal invoices from Hicks Morley. There's a summer student report. And add-ons are the MBQ Town of Desrona MOU for the water on North Street and sewer. Request for a meeting with MTO. The North Street multi-service connection. The IC Amendment number 46 needs to be approved. Upcoming meetings on November the 8th at 7 p.m. is the local council meeting. November the 13th is the regular council meeting. November the 18th is the MBQ Candidates Night. November the 27th is MBQ Candidates Night. November 28th is the local council business meeting. December the 2nd is the date for the MBQ election at the school. And December the 13th at 9:30 a.m. is the regular council meeting, the final council meeting after this session of council. Then you have before you also a private agenda with the minutes, and so that's in camera. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I can move.
Moved by Stacia.
Second, Chief.
Stacia, are you in favor, Josh? It's been moved and seconded by Stacia and seconded by Chris to adopt the agenda. Josh, are you in favor? Can you hear?
I believe I said I am, yeah?
Yeah, we can hear now. Are you in favor of adopting the agenda?
Yes.
Okay, the motion is carried. Thank you. You have before you the minutes of October the 19th. So the meeting was held in the council chambers on Thursday, October the 19th at 10:50 a.m. In the council chambers present were myself, Chief Don Miracle, Councillors Josh Hill, Stacia Loft, Ted Miracle, and Chris Miracle. David Sewler, the CEO, was joined by teams. Angela Miracle, the Director of Operations, joined by teams. Shelley Bowden, Executive Administrative Assistant and Recording Secretary of Council, joined by teams, and Amzi Miracle, Executive Assistant, was present. I opened the meeting with a Ahodo Gariwatego and also the Lord's Prayer in both the Ganyonkihaga, Ganyonkeha, and English languages. Motion 1 was moved by Councillor Stacia Loft and seconded by Councillor Josh Hill to adopt the agenda, and the motion was carried. Motion 2 was moved by Councillor Stacia Loft and seconded by Councillor Ted Miracle that the council minutes of October the 5th be approved as corrected. That motion was carried. Motion 3 was moved by Councillor Josh Hill and seconded by Councillor Stacia Loft to approve rescheduling the November 27th, 2023 local business meeting to November the 28th at 4 p.m. That motion was carried. Motion 4 was moved by Councillor Stacia Loft and seconded by Chris Miracle to approve the payment to Alan Pratt invoice number 6221 in the amount of $284.50 regarding the Culberson tract partial settlement. That motion was carried. Motion 5 was moved by Councillor Josh Hill and seconded by Councillor Stacia Loft to approve to pay Derek Wong invoice number 847 in the amount of $5,950 regarding the long-term care agreement and a business opportunity. The motion was carried. Motion 6 was moved by Chris Miracle and Councillor Chris Miracle and seconded by Councillor Stacia Loft to approve awarding the tender to Build All Contractor for the North Street Housing Development in the amount of $1,239,472.62 and the total budget being $1,463,686. MBQ contribution will be $823,686 and Indigenous Services Canada contribution $640,000. That motion was carried. Motion 7 was moved by Councillor Chris Miracle and seconded by Councillor Stacia Loft to approve the awarding the tender to Build a Contractor for the Community Wellbeing Building Expansion in the amount of $9,954,152. The total budget for that project is $11,410,653 from the Community Wellbeing and Jurisdiction Initiative for Children and Families. The motion was carried. Motion 8 was moved by Councillor Joshua Hill and seconded by Councillor Carl Ted Miracle to approve to amend the MBQ personnel policy that a staff member does not have to take leave of absence if nominated for an MBQ council position, but will have to resign if elected, effective immediately. The motion was carried. Motion 9 was moved by Councillor Josh Hill and seconded by Councillor Stacia Loft to approve the signing of the harvesting letter for Rachel Burns, and the motion was carried. Motion 10 was moved by Councillor Stacia Loft and seconded by Councillor Chris Miracle to approve the signing of the Indigenous Services Canada Agreement, number 2122, Ontario, number 27, Amendment 45 for the water treatment plant Aquarius tank rehabilitation. And this is for, we should put further for Quinte Mohawk School. That should be put in there, Quinte Mohawk School. So we know it. No, wait, it's our own water treatment plant, sorry. So, okay, in the amount of $534,800 and Jordan's principal coordination in the amount of $134,710. The motion was carried. Council confirmed the following schedule of meetings: September the 28th, local council business; October the 5th, regular. What's that? They're not right. What should it be, Shelley? This is what was confirmed on that day. It wasn't? Okay. So what should it be? Oh, it's on. Which ones are not right?
All of them.
Okay, then ignore that then, I guess. So motion 11 was moved by Councillor Stacia Loft and seconded by Councillor Chris Miracle of this meeting going to private. It went into private at 12:30 p.m. and it was recorded by Shelley Bowden, Executive Assistant and Recording Secretary to Council. Can I have a motion to accept these minutes as corrected? Note that the meeting dates are not identified correctly in the confirmation there. Is there a mover? Or are there other corrections or omissions?
No, I can move that.
Moved by Stacia. Is there a seconder? Chris, you have to speak
Yes,
because
yes.
people, okay, because people are listening, they can't see. Okay. Josh, are you in favor of accepting the minutes as corrected?
I am.
The motion is carried. Is there any business arising from the minutes? Is there any business arising from the minutes? On motion 6, for the tenders that were awarded to Billville Contractor for both the North Street housing development as well as the community well-being expansion, is there any start date for those projects?
I'd have to double check with Tommy, Chief, if you want to just hold on a second.
Okay. And I understand that the tanks, the rehabilitation of the tanks at the water treatment plant is started, and I just don't know what the completion date isn't the anticipated completion date is.
And that's in relation to motion number 10.
Motion 10.
Okay. So we'll just wait for those start dates then. And...
Chief, I have to just step away to take a call just for a second. I'll be right back.
Okay. So that's the only business that I have, just some identifying of some dates of start dates and completion dates for these projects. I think in future, if we had something like that identified in the motion of council, what the anticipated start date is and completion date, just more information.
For sure, Chief. So just so you know, I just spoke with Tom and he said they don't have a firm date yet, but the start is supposed to be in the next 2 weeks. So I think they're just working that out with Buildall for the scheduling. So we don't know that. And at the time that the motion was made to award it, we wouldn't have known that. So it couldn't be included, but we can let you know as soon as we find out.
Okay, that's great. And also, David, if any idea when the work at the water treatment plant will be done with the rehabilitation of the 2 tanks?
So the last I'd heard, I thought that the work was almost done and we were getting ready for inspection, but I'll confirm with Todd and let you know. Give me a moment.
Okay. Good morning, Angela. Satyo on it square.
What am I supposed to say?
Chris, go ahead. Oh, just press my arm, please. Sorry. On that, Buffy Hill didn't get a response. She had made a comment.
I think that's private. That would be a private agenda.
Okay, we're just waiting for David. Okay, well, so do you have any business arising for the minutes, Stacia?
No, I don't. I believe David answered us, though. I think David provided a
Yeah.
response.
Yeah. So anyway, I guess it's nearing completion, so I guess we'll just take it, we'll get some more details later. Okay, we'll carry on. Meetings outside of the territory, I have 2. On November the 7th, they're unveiling a statue at Queen's Park for Queen Elizabeth II, and I've been invited to be part of that. And so I would need authorization to go to that ceremony. And November the 10th is our first tripartite housing meeting with Canada and Ontario officials.
Moved.
So it looks like we will be asking the province for about $99 million a year. Whether we get that or not, but that's what the chief's office has identified. It's been moved by Chris.
I'm sorry, where are these meetings? I didn't hear that.
They're going to be in Toronto.
Oh, both are in Toronto.
Yeah.
For the unveiling and then for the...
Some are attending in person. I think if there are senior people in government attending, I should attend in person if they're attending in person. So Chris, it's been moved by Chris to approve. Is there a seconder?
Yeah, I can second that.
Stacia? Josh, are you in favor of the motion to attend those 2 functions? Josh, are you there? David, can you hear?
David's on hold. He might be on a call.
Josh, can you hear? Josh, can you hear? Okay, the motion is carried. We must have some internet issues. Oh, he stepped away, okay. So Shelley, that November the 10th, we didn't have the date identified, so it's now definite November the 10th for sure. Geographic names, Spitfire Island in the Bay of Quinte. I'm not familiar with the history of this island. I wonder if Lisa or Stephen know anything about it, and do we want to propose a name for it?
So if I could suggest that we include Lisa and research and even perhaps environment in that
Yeah.
conversation, and then they can come back with a recommendation for council.
Okay, then do you want to defer to for a recommendation to them for? Okay, we can
Sure,
do
it'd be
that.
great if they could review that. They would have that knowledge, that research information. I think that would inform any decision. So I can make that motion.
To defer. Megan, Stephen, for a recommendation. Okay. Is there a second for that motion moved by Stacia to defer this to staff for a recommendation?
Chief, why are we just seeing this now? It says they reached out to us February 7th.
This is the first I've seen the email.
It says they sent us an email back February 7th,
I didn't
2022.
get an email from them. I would send it on to staff.
I know you
as soon as
would.
As soon as I get it. This is the first I've seen this.
Angela, do you know why we're just getting this now?
Well, we don't know who they
Chief
sent
shared
it to.
Have the chief shared it?
My understanding is that the email went to the chief.
Yeah, I don't recall getting any email, and I look at all my emails and send them out to who.
Okay, thank you. I'm good, Chief.
Second by Chris. Josh, are you in favor of deferring this to staff for recommendation? Okay, the motion is carried. On October the 26th, I received a letter from Patrick Dean, the principal and vice chair of Queen's University, was signed by also Mika Henry, acting associate director of the Office of Indigenous Initiatives, and it was to sit on a Queen's University identity project. It's an oversight council. Does council have any objection to me taking this position?
I support that, Chief.
If so, could we have a motion?
Motion.
Is there a seconder?
I have to declare a conflict. I'm employed by Queen's University.
Okay. Josh, are you in favor? Okay, we'll have to set that aside till we can get connected with Josh. We'll come back to that. The new positions, pardon me, the roads truck purchase. ISSC has provided enhanced roads funding for 2022-23 and 23-24 We have a significant budget this year to undertake a robust work plan addressing the work program requires major capital projects and unopened road launch extension requests. Seeking authorization to proceed with the work plan as detailed in the briefing note. No, I don't have a briefing note. Hmm? Okay. And what was the date of that, the email from?
It's included in the package. It may have been printed off for you. It's included in our package.
You mean her?
Okay, so,
Print it off, yeah.
okay.
Just see.
You're printing it, Angela?
No, I'm gonna read it to you.
Okay, go ahead.
It says, please see attached quote and pictures for the request to purchase a new truck. To replace another truck would be able to utilize this truck for truck turnarounds, subdivisions, cul-de-sacs, and variety of tasks in the summer maintenance program, where sometimes a large dump truck is too big and we can use for bridge washing. It will be used for winter patrolling as well for drifting and spot salting when it's more convenient than a large truck.
Mm-hmm. And that's it?
That's all that was provided.
And the work plan for the unopened road launch, is there any details there?
A new one, uploaded, new agenda sheet, and obviously you didn't get a copy of the new sheet.
Chief, is the request just to
Well,
purchase the
what I
truck?
got was the quote from the 110,500.
Chief, I moved to purchase the truck.
So, and then I got the pictures of the truck.
Yes, so the agenda page is wrong. A new one got uploaded.
Oh, okay.
And obviously you didn't get a copy of the new agenda sheet.
Okay, then. So anyway, this should be approved. They need the truck. They have the budget. I would recommend council approve it. Is there a
Move,
motion?
Chief.
Moved by Chris. Is there a seconder for it?
If we can just include the amount, please, in that motion, that would be
Yeah, it's 100, it's,
great.
is this amount right?
It's
That-
111,000.
100, 110.5 is what I have here in this code.
That's in the quote, in the briefing or in the agenda item sheet, it says 111,000.
Okay, 111,000, okay.
So perhaps we should verify that amount, considering I see two different amounts here.
Well, why don't we go by the quote? We've got something in writing here.
I think that would be good. So I can second that.
Station. Okay. Josh, Josh is gone. The motion is carried. New positions in employment and training. So the ENT, the employment training team, is in need of another employment assistant position as well as a training coordinator position. The following documents are attached to support the request: a briefing note, the proposed community service organization structure, the budget, and the position descriptions. To approve additional positions, the request is to approve these additional positions within the community service organization structure. So you've been given a briefing note on why these positions are needed and what their work is, and the recommendation was to include it in the organizational structure and post the positions. There is money for it. Does council approve?
I'm in agreement with this.
Are you moving, Stacia?
I can move this.
Stacia is making the motion to approve. Is there a seconder?
Second, Chief.
Chris? The motion is carried.
think we're still waiting for that agreement from ALFDC.
We are. That was noted in the briefing note, but I see that we've been reimbursed for our expenses thus far. So that's the only piece I had wanted to confirm. But right now, we do not have an agreement.
I spoke to Sam about that yesterday, and she said it was sent over in February. I've asked her to send another copy. I have not seen it.
I don't recall seeing it either, Chief. I think that we were waiting, from my understanding, we were waiting for Steve and Sam to do a presentation, which happened when? June?
But that should not delay the sending of the contribution agreement. Okay. I
So
did
you
ask her to send over
Sorry, you
another.
did ask for that again then?
I did ask her to
Thank
spoke
you.
to her yesterday about it, to ask where was the agreement, because I hadn't seen it.
Thank you though for asking.
Okay, the Ontario Transfer Payment Agreement for Ontario Works. MBQ has been in receipt of the agreement from the Ministry of Children, Community and Social Services for the delivery of Ontario Works program. The recommendation is that council approve and sign the agreement for the delivery of the Ontario Works program. Is there a motion from council to sign the agreement?
Motion.
I can second, but I do have a concern with the name of the recipient. So I don't know, David, Angela, if you can just verify with either the Director of Community Wellbeing and or the manager of Ontario Works. The recipient is titled Mohawk Indian Band.
That's what we're known.
Yeah,
in
it should.
Teapot. Sorry, David.
Our other
Sorry, I was
payment
gonna say,
agreements
yeah.
with the province, though, I don't believe are that. So I don't know if maybe just to look into that, just to verify how that.
Yeah, no, we will, Stacia, I agree. It doesn't look right to me, and I don't recall seeing that on our other contribution agreements. So we'll follow up on that.
Right, but in Teapot, we do have two accounts. One is Mohawk Indian Band, and the other one is for housing and library, I believe.
Okay, so has the administration notified the province to use Mohawks the Bay of Quinte?
Most of our other agreements do say Mohawk's Bay Quinte, like Stacey's saying. I'm
Okay.
just telling you that in the Teapot system, there's two accounts, and it does say we're known as the Mohawk Indian Band.
Yeah. And perhaps we can have them update this. I think, I think there's a little process to it, but if that could be updated, I think that would be a little bit more accurate than how it's named now. But that would be the only suggestion I would have, just for an action
Okay.
item for staff to follow up on that piece.
Okay, I'm going to put it in the motion, so it's a request from council, okay? So it's been moved by Chris and seconded by Stacia to approve the signed agreement, but have it updated to reflect our proper name. Their system updated. Okay, the motion is carried. And that'll also be an action item. Indigenous Services Canada Amendment 44. Please request to acknowledge and approve the amendment forwarded to ISCC for additional program funding for the fiscal year 2023. And the attached correspondence for additional funding is $3,018. And that's for amendment number 44. Is there a motion to approve this amendment?
This is for the end of life care fund.
Yeah, end of life care fund.
Mhm. Yeah, I can move.
Moved by Stacia,
Second, Chief.
We'll need you to sign and pass that around because you didn't respond back to ISC like you normally do. And I sent you a follow-up email to say, Chief, don't forget to do this, but I think I didn't find it in my email, so we'll need that signed copy to send back. Please. Chief, did you?
pardon?
you
I've
didn't
signed
hear
it.
me?
I'm sending it around to be signed.
I know, but normally you do that with the ISC amendments.
I've done it with Frollo once.
But you didn't do it for that one, which is why I really need it to be signed so we can make sure it gets back and gets processed. I know you're right on them.
Well, but
someone-
there was no signature block to do that email process. with that,
I
with
don't
what
have
the
it
copy,
mentioned.
that's why I put it on the agenda.
I just know that normally in the body of the email, you put your name and title, and then you have to copy the counselors. But
Yeah.
that one got missed, so that's why I was just making sure that it was on here to be signed, that's all.
Okay.
You put it on there, yes, but,
Because I couldn't use that function on,
oh, it wouldn't let
that's
you?
why I had, it wouldn't let me do that, so that's why I had to put it on the agenda.
That's weird,
That's why it's there.
but we got the other ones, so.
Yes. Oh, thank you. There are some legal invoices here from Hicks Morley. One dated June 28, 23 for $1,484. Another one for $106. Another one for $2,121. $2,120. One for $795. One for $3,763. One for $106, and another one for $106. That's not a duplication, is it? The two amounts being the same? There are two different invoices. I see the numbers there. Okay. Motion to approve the payment of these invoices.
Motion.
Chris? Is there a seconder?
Yeah, I can second.
The motion is carried. The summer student report and decommission of the OFNLP. To acknowledge report and letter advise the OFNLP was not required for the summer student program. So was this because we had funding from somewhere else?
Yes.
Okay.
So at the time, we only got three students from Canada summer jobs when we thought we had 16, but it ended up only being 3.
Mm-hmm.
And when it came to council at the time said we would use OFNLP funding if we needed to. But what ended up happening is we were able to get some money from ISC to cover some of the camp positions. Programs covered some of their positions that they had brought in.
Mm-hmm.
We got, instead of 2 from employment and training, we got 4 positions because we didn't get funded from last year for 2 positions, and the 3 Canada Jobs summer positions as well. So managed to cover all the positions. I think everybody that applied got hired, and we didn't have to borrow all of the OFNLP money. So this is just basically saying that motion that you made at that time to use OFNLP money isn't necessary now.
I recall.
So it was a great job for everybody to come together and make sure all the students got employed.
Well, there definitely needs to be more advocacy on this piece. You can see the amounts that have decreased significantly over the years. So,
There was a little bit where it jumped up and then that.
yeah, and that was
Drop.
definitely during COVID. So you see that, and you see that in a lot of different budgets where there's been an increase due to the impacts of COVID, but then previous to that and then subsequent to that, it's been on the decline.
Which is why the letter was drafted as well.
Yeah. No,
So we hired 15 positions in total then, Angela?
No, I think we hired more than that.
I think we,
Let me go back to the report, sorry.
yeah. So
Okay, well, just note in there the explanation for it to delist it as requiring OFNLP funds because funding was received from other sources.
And this is just an aside question. I don't know if anyone who's been here for quite some time, once the OFNLP agreement, once we had received that and that was negotiated, whether or not there was any community consultation at that point to identify priorities with the OFNLP. Do you recall that ever being done?
I thought
Well, there's 5 broad categories. There's education, there's culture, there's community infrastructure, there's health, it can be one of them. Education, economic development, community infrastructure, and
Right. and that was-
language, like heritage language stuff.
Right, and that was the guidance that was received at that time from that agreement, but have we ever, at that time when we did get it, was there any conversations with community on that and identifying priorities for OFNLP?
Yeah, I always did that. What was that called? It was a survey done because it came back.
There,
on
there, there,
what they
there,
would like to do,
there,
but
there,
it's
in,
quite old.
in
Yeah, I'm
two
just
thousand,
curious,
when it first started, there was a survey done. We hired a consultant to do a survey, and the committee identified its priorities, and what was high priority was long-term care, water, education.
Can I, is anyone able to,
Health.
to find that
Find the-
somewhere?
survey?
And if you could maybe circulate that amongst council, I would certainly be interested in seeing what that feedback was, but that was the only question I had. I can, if you need a motion for this, I can move that for this agenda item.
Okay, moved by Stacia to delist the open LP funds for requiring for the student summer student program for the reason that adequate funding was received from other sources,
Second.
and that'll be part of the motion because it explains why we're doing that.
Do we have to rescind that other motion, or this just overrides that motion, I guess, doesn't it?
I think we use the language delist, but
Delist?
we may have to actually.
And with the summer student program, when Daryl Cramp was the MP, the Conservative government at that time made a change, and then the local MP's office became in control of that fund. And so from that point on, we didn't have as much money for the summer student program. We used to just get a transfer for the summer student program.
So there's a letter there. Is that part of this motion? There's a letter attached that says we need more support.
Yeah, so maybe that's a separate
Separate
motion
motion? Okay.
to send that letter.
Okay. And Chief, sorry, there was 23 positions.
23
Oh, it
positions,
says we had 23 students apply through all those things, so.
22 positions.
I'm just reading her note. It says 20.
Okay, just note that in the minutes, how many the number of positions that we had for summer student program this year. And everyone got hired that applied.
As far as I understand.
Motion to send this letter dated November the 1st to the Canada Summer Jobs.
Yeah, I can move that.
Moved by Station, second by Chris. Motion's carried. There are some add-ons. The MOU for North Street Development, this has been delayed by the town for quite a while at some expense to the band. I've asked Todd for some numbers on what that delay cost us. But is there a motion then to approve to sign this agreement and send it back to the town?
I'll move, Chief.
Moved by Chris.
Sorry, I see that it's already been signed. The copy I have has been signed. That's in the drive. So, sorry, can someone clarify? I see that the MOU that I have is signed. So do you,
Well, it still needs a motion of council.
right, but it's already been signed.
I've signed it. It's not been sent back to them yet.
So do you need a motion to send
We
it
we
to
do,
them?
we do. To sign it and send it.
We actually need an MCR. which
An MCR,
the
they're
proposed
asking for an
wording is in
MCR.
there.
So this hasn't been sent back, but it has been signed. What date was it signed? Because I don't see that either on here.
Yeah, the 27th of October.
Is at the top.
Is at the very top?
Yep.
Okay, that's, I was scrolled down to the
We were
bottom.
getting, we were getting,
Oh, thank you.
we were
You're
getting
welcome.
getting dinged with delay costs from the contractor Trudeau Construction for the delay, and they had assigned them to do other work, but they ran out of work for them to do, so otherwise we would have incurred
But
a
if
lot
this
more.
hasn't been sent, then that's irrelevant.
Yeah,
So if this hasn't been sent, then what you've just raised would still be an issue.
well, I think Todd let them know that it was going to be signed and sent. He brought it to me actually on the 27th.
But it still needs the MCR.
Right.
Otherwise, that
To go
work
with
can't
it.
proceed, and we are getting dinged with delay costs from the contractor.
No, I understand that, but you said it hadn't been sent, so that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
If it hasn't been sent,
Yeah.
then that would still be an issue, an outstanding issue.
Yeah. I think I likely said to send the council an email to get approval or something like that. We put it in our minutes. I don't know if that happened or
You
not.
did not do that. I did not
Okay.
receive that. Otherwise, I think any of us would have been more than happy to,
Yeah.
to do that and have it here to sign off on the MCR.
So is there a motion, a resolution of council to sign and approve this agreement?
Yeah, I moved it, Chief.
Okay, moved by Chris. Is there a seconder?
I can acknowledge that you've signed it.
They're looking for an MCR. Otherwise, the project has to be put on hold.
I think you need two motions, Chief. I think you need one acknowledging that you've signed it and that it hasn't been provided. And then I think you need another motion for a Mohawk Council resolution and to provide it to the town of Deserano.
Yeah, that would make sense. So I'm agreeable to that. I can second that if that forms part of the first motion.
I'm still waiting for a report on what that cost us for a delay. Because the lack of the agreement in place has actually delayed the project from getting started when it should have, and the contractor was ready for the North Street work.
Yeah, and Chief, I know that they're working on getting that number because there's some negotiation involved with the construction company. So I would expect that pretty soon
Well,
you're
Todd
gonna.
said he had other work for them to do, but it was dragging on back and forth with the lawyer and stuff like that, so.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I'm just telling you that the final tally, like they're working on it. I talked to Todd about it the other day. They don't have a number yet, but they're going to provide it to you guys. And then that will probably become another discussion point. So, but for the purposes of getting things moving,
So to
you know, we
acknowledge that-
do need this.
Okay, so it's to acknowledge the agreement signed on the 27th of October, 2023, and to sign an MCR approving the agreement as required by the town of Deseronto. Is that your motion, Chris?
Sure.
And is that what you're seconding, Stacia?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, the motion is carried. Okay,
You need a second motion, Chief, for the MCR wording.
oh yeah, the MCR. Who'll move the MCR?
Motion. Motion to support the MCR, Chief.
Chris, is there a seconder for the MCR? Stacia?
Well, no, I just have a question. Sorry, it's not that I don't support it. It's just the wording in the MCR. I see that any final edits and provisions were received by hand on October 27th. And I guess it's just more of maybe more of a comment on how we conduct business, considering that an MOU is a binding agreement, but yet we're exchanging things by hand.
I wasn't involved in any of the discussion on it, Todd, and I don't know, David, were you involved with the lawyer on that Todd was handling it?
Yeah, I sat with Harold and Todd on many occasions going back and forth, but the final iteration of the agreement, I'm assuming that it was all mutually agreed to. I'm not sure about the final edits and provisions by hand. I'd have to ask him about that.
I just don't know what that means. If that's actually like someone made the changes by hand, or if they actually delivered it by hand. It's just there's just some wording things in there. It just raises a question. So I don't know if it's necessary to even have in there. I don't think that
Yeah,
it
give me a
matters.
second. I'm gonna call Todd and I'll just talk to him about it. Just give me a second.
Sure.
Sounds like somebody else picked it up.
Yeah, it just doesn't sound like our wording necessarily, or it could be our wording, but it just doesn't fit, so.
Really, if we just take out the word by hand.
Yeah, exactly. I think that might be easier. Because I think it's okay to say, have mutually agreed to the final edits and provisions as outlined in the attached memorandum of understanding. Simple.
Dated.
Dated, correct. I think we can just say dated on October 27th, 2023. I just don't see how that is relevant.
So, hey folks, I just want to let you know Todd's in another meeting and he couldn't answer me. So we can follow up with him after this if you want to set it aside about that language.
Sure, I think actually we might have come up with a solution if that's agreeable. It would be to say mutually agree to the final edits and provisions as outlined in the attached memorandum of understanding dated October 27th, 2023.
Yeah, I think that's fine if everybody's okay with that.
Chris, you good with that wording?
Sorry, Chief, I was looking at something else.
Can you repeat that, Stacia, for Councillor Chris?
Sure, so it would just be removing the received by hand piece on the third whereas to say mutually agree to the final edits and provisions as outlined in the attached memorandum of understanding dated October 27th, 2023.
Basically, she's just taking out the words received by hand on and putting dated in. That's
Dated
it.
on.
Sure, I can second that, Chief.
I think you may have moved that.
Okay. Got that,
I
Shelley?
think you did move it.
Okay. Get Angela to write that on that paper.
And then we can find out the other piece after,
Ask Angela to
David,
write that
just
on
in
the
terms of
paper.
the context
to
of
write that
why
on the
that was
paper.
included. And then,
I didn't bring it.
yeah, we can figure that out after.
Yeah, for sure, Stacia. As soon as Todd's out of his other meeting, I'll connect with him.
Thanks.
Okay, so we need an MCR then?
Don't pick on your station, say, you sure that's not a legal talk?
It's not. Sometimes, like, there are things that are, again, we just don't need to include.
Right.
Or it speaks to something else. It's like, okay, why?
So this is the motion or this is the resolution? Angela?
That's
Okay.
the resolution.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Request for a meeting with the MTO. MTO would like a meeting with the council. MTO is not available November 13th and 27th. What dates would council like to meet with the MTO?
Shelley, I see that you put this on the agenda. Can you identify the purpose of the meeting? Okay, so Highway 49 corridor and could be specifically the lights at airport.
Airport and slash road.
Airport and 49. No, well, it's generally maybe about 49, but I think we're going to run into some difficulties identifying dates, but I guess, Chief, I think it would make sense that you identify dates considering that you have a fairly hectic travel schedule for the month of November.
Okay, I can meet.
And would this be something that I think infrastructure, the director of infrastructure
Yeah, they
would
need
be
to be
involved?
involved.
So I think
I
we would
could
have to
meet-
confirm with Todd as well, his dates that he's available,
I could meet on the 3rd,
which is this Friday.
the 3rd in the afternoon. The 6th in the morning.
Yeah, I think I heard 6 in the morning, November 6th in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh, no, not 6 a.m. It's good.
The 8th in the afternoon. The 9th in the afternoon. After 2 o'clock? Or morning? The 10th, I'm tied up. The 13th is regular council, the 14th is busy, the 15th is busy, the joint gathering, 17th. So those are the dates. The 3rd, so the 3rd, the 6th, or the 8th.
So it sounds like November 8th is what you could propose, I think pending the Director of Infrastructure's availability.
Good morning, Ted.
I think it would be great to request at least an agenda and whether or not there's any decision-making that needs to be done at that meeting, so council can be informed if they need
Well-
to attend, if we need quorum for that.
They really haven't made too much progress in dealing with the business that's on the corner there. And I've asked them to leave the temporary lights up until the new ones are put in because it's improved traffic safety at the Bayshore Road corner. But there's a hazard at the Slash Road corner as well with that, without traffic lights. There's been accidents at both locations. There's been a death at both locations.
So November 8th, and then if an agenda could be requested and whether or not there's any decision-making items for council. at
I
that
think
time.
they're just going to give us the same spiel if they haven't made any progress with the.
Well, this is why it's good to get an agenda, so we're not guessing what
Yeah.
we're talking about, and that it's efficient.
So the agenda would be the permanent traffic lights, intersection of Bayshore Road and
Yeah.
traffic lights, intersection of Lower Slash Road and Peacemaker gas station.
Okay, so 3 items that are on there. Okay. Thanks, Jillian.
Okay. So can we identify then November the 8th as a potential date?
Well, I think you have to kind of discount them if they're available on that day.
So just have the staff send MTO an email this morning to see if they're available, or they then get back to us. We can confirm it.
We do have local scheduled for that day as well, so
Yeah.
just, I don't know if there's anyone that's scheduled, but maybe that could form part of our local meeting, possibly,
What date?
on the 8th.
I believe that's when
Is
it's
it-
in council at 6. Yes, Charlie, taking a minute.
Okay.
And that's where we're having dinner and stuff like that. And
So I
then
wondered
we-
if we could start earlier, though,
I think, well, you
in the
probably can.
afternoon. Possibly, that depends on people's availability. On the 8th, we're just talking about scheduling a meeting with MTO. I guess there is a request to meet. November 8th seems like it may be the only option right now, subject to their availability. Yeah, we just have to start earlier. And we already have someone scheduled for 6 PM,
I think there's a whole group of them.
a whole group of them, yeah.
Because I believe we'll all be at the fire hall in order to accommodate their large group and our group and dinner. Is that said?
Yeah, it's the Prince Edward County Council.
Oh, was that for the 8th?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we had a deferred item number 5, Ted, because Stacia has a conflict of interest with the Office of the Principal and Vice Chancellor of Queen's University's letter.
Sorry, apologies. Did we finish the other item? I felt like it was still kind of left hanging in the air a little bit with the November 8th. Is that the date that we're proposing?
Okay, what I would
the
request, if our staff could send MTO an email to confirm their availability on November the 8th, if we get here back, then we can confirm that date. If not.
Yeah, so Chief, with respect to the 8th, I'm pretty sure MTO is looking for a daytime regular work hours meeting. So as long as council's good with coming in during the day, knowing that you're going to have a meeting continuing into the evening from 6 onward, we'll do that for sure. So if everybody's good, just let us know. We'll get back to them with those dates, and if they're available, we'll let you know.
Okay, thank you. So anyway, I've been asked, Ted, to sit on the Indigenous Oversight Council, which will be composed of leaders from local First Nations, Métis, Inuit leadership or their delegates, as well as Indigenous scholars and elders. The Indigenous Oversight Council meet as necessary, employing a consensus-based model of decision-making to provide advice and guidance to the university's interim policy on Indigenous identity verification. And of course, this is a huge issue with the Métis with the Métis Nation of Ontario. The legitimacy of many people that are identifying themselves as Métis for jobs and benefits is a huge issue in question by the Chiefs of Ontario. So I think the university should be aware that there's a court case that Chief Jason Batiste is involved with of one of the northern communities, and there are hearings taking place now on Bill C-53 in Ottawa, and the Chief's office have identified who the delegates will be that'll be addressing the concerns about Bill C-53 and these 6 supposed Métis settlements that is alleged to have existed in Ontario. That were recognized by the Wynne government in legislation, and in one of our leadership calls, there was a suggestion to walk back that decision of the Ontario government because of the serious issues it raises and the implications and the issues concerned with those claims. So the university needs to be aware that it's a legal issue before the court, and there's a lot of political controversy about it. I had some reservation about, I don't agree with anything that's pan-Indigenous. I think the thrust seems to be going that way with what the federal government's doing in terms of funding. And the implications of that, I think, are going to be pretty severe in terms of First Nations funding and rights and benefits. There's question that, the Métis do intend to argue for recognition of having treaty rights. The treaty rights holders with the present First Nations object to it. And so there's a lot of political and legal issues that have to be sorted out. So should I sit on this advisory, this oversight council? I'm sure I would be locking horns with some of the Métis on this issue of their recognition, because the legitimacy of it is what's at question.
Do you want to?
Well, I think a voice needs to be heard about it, that it's an issue.
I'll move.
If we don't go and say, then I don't think that group are going to be nice to each other and just accommodate each other and go along with it, and it could have huge implications, particularly for funding for our post-secondary education, our health program. Minister Patty Hadju told the Chiefs in Ottawa when she spoke to us that there is not enough money already in the program to address the needs. And so there's going to be that many more, and they're already getting funding from the Indigenous Services envelope.
Well, they're inviting you to sit on there, so I have no issue with that. I can second.
You'll second the motion?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Been moved by Chris and seconded by Ted. The motion is carried and station declared conflict of interest. Add-on number 3. It's been submitted by Todd Kring, the Housing and Van Property Director. Oh, Tom Kring, rather, Housing and Van Property Director. MBQ has received a multi-service connection cost agreement with Hydro One Networks, Inc. for the North Street Development Project. The agreement requires signature of chief and council. In addition, MBQ is required to place a $215,766 expansion deposit, which is returned as the connections are made and will need to cash manage until then. Approve the recommendations to approve and sign the attached multi-service connection cost agreement for North Street development.
I'll move, chief.
Is there a seconder for that motion?
I'll second.
Ted? Are you in favor, Stacia?
Yes, I am.
The motion is carried.
Hey, Chief, sorry, I had to step out for a second there to talk to Todd. So if you guys are prepared, I'll explain. So the language in there, the received by hand. So the final edits that were made were done by our legal counsel. And then the documents were provided to them and they signed them, and that's what the received by hand is. So there was no further edits made. They had the final version that had been reviewed by our legal counsel. They accepted them, and Mackenzie in Todd's shop went down there and physically picked them up. That's why it says received by hand.
Right, so would you see any issue with just saying dated, because it already indicates that there were final edits made and it would have stated October 27th?
Yeah, I don't see it being an issue, but I think in Article 13 is where the language for this is included, and it's right out of the MOU. I could be wrong. Just give me a second. I'm gonna have to go and look in it.
Okay.
It might just be that the Article 13 says that they need the signatory identified, which is done. It's Chief Miracle.
Right.
But give me 1 second just to find it. I have to take a look.
Yeah, I would say, I don't think there's any rush, David, because it's already been, the MCR has already passed. It's just a matter of finessing the wording in it prior to.
Yeah.
second reading. That's all.
Actually, you know what? Having read this this part, I don't think there is any issue with saying dated.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, reading the language, there's no issue.
Yeah.
Thanks, David.
You're welcome.
So was there any discussion on how much that costs us at the end of the day? Was there
I've
any
asked for a
debate cost?
report.
We don't have that amount yet.
Okay.
No, Ted, they're working on a costing. We don't have a definitive number yet. I was talking to Todd about it the other day, so they're still working on pulling that together, but it'll be coming to council shortly.
Hey, thanks, Dave.
No problem.
Add-on number 4 has been put on the agenda by Cecil Capidia, the Director of Finance. A request to acknowledge and approve the amendment for ISC for additional program funding for the fiscal year 2023-24. Attached is the corresponds letter for the funding totaling $214,332. And it relates to the wastewater systems, regular funding, $32,439, and the water systems regular funding, $121,793. And David, I think this relates to the MTA with Deseronto. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe that's correct, Chief.
Because they hadn't put anything in there for the MTA, and so I think we've been chronically underfunded there, so that's under review.
Yeah, that's what I gathered from our conversation with Ken last week.
Is there a motion then to approve amendment number 46?
I can move.
Second. The motion is carried. So-
So Chief, I think there's another add-on. I don't know if you guys did it while I was on the phone with Todd. It was for the Hydro One.
Let me see here.
We did.
Okay,
The
good.
multi-service connection. Yep.
Yeah, I didn't hear you guys, so I just want to make sure it got done. Thank
That
you.
was done. That was done.
Perfect.
Just the one spot on the energy? Just the one?
I believe so. Check. Look into the back.
Yeah, it's just the one.
Just one? Thanks.
There was one meeting that I forgot to put in for. And that's the ISC joint gathering on the 15th and 16th of November. So could I,
There's a motion for that. Yeah, I recall. Because there was a
Okay.
conflict with the Hassab.
okay. Thank you. Now, so the upcoming council is November the 8th. There's local council at 8 o'clock. Is there anybody on the agenda for that day? No, not yet. November 13th is the regular council at 9:30 in the morning. November the 18th is the, from 7 till 10 is MBQ candidates night. November the 27th is MBQ candidates night at 7 to 10 p.m. And remember, we don't discuss staff or personnel issues at any of those things or offer criticism of anybody at those meetings. It's about yourself and the work you'd like to see done in the community if you're elected. During the 27th is MBQ candidates night at 10 p.m. November the 28th is 4 p.m. the local council business. December the 2nd is MBQ election, and December the 13th is 9:30 at Mohawk regular council. Okay. That's it. Motion to go in private.
I can move.
Moved by Stacia. Is there a seconder?
Second.
Seconded. Okay, we have
Great.